Hello everyone, I'm Chris Mozillo, Shiverson, and well, today I'm going to be giving you a review on Final Fantasy XIII Versus. Sorry, that's Final Fantasy 15. It's been a long time. It's been quite a while since an actual main franchise game has been released in Final Fantasy. 84 years even. Or, well, thereabouts. In fact, Final Fantasy XV was originally penned as Final Fantasy XIII Versus back when Final Fantasy XIII had like 80 million different games being released at the same time. But now, well, Final Fantasy XIII's long since passed, and 13 Versus had never been really mentioned more than a trailer or two they looked really nice, but that was more or less where it had become. So it was transformed into Final Fantasy XV and almost completely redone, minus a few hot anime boys. But we're here now. I've bought a PS4 that has little to no real major purpose or idea why the design is like that, and I've completed the game to the point of getting a platinum trophy. However, I really enjoyed Final Fantasy XV in an odd way. What can be read as more or less a fuck you to all the people who said Final Fantasy XIII was more or less a hallway simulator. Final Fantasy XV is massive and such a big open road of adventure. Some of the dungeons have a little more structure to them, but even then they're more or less just sprawling and expansive, and kind of easily forgettable as well. Now, I've nothing against massive open roads and driving along this giant map. However, at times I kind of wanted something a little more structured and designed and impactful than what I got, because a lot of the game takes place on an open, a location on the open map that you've got to go to and kill something or collect some beans, and it's kind of an issue because it can be approached from any direction due to your sick wheels or chocobos. Because of this, so much of it is sort of doesn't stand out. It's kind of easy to forget it all, due to just going and killing everything on a map location, collecting some beans, because some guy is so desperate for beans that he sends the prince of his own country to get some beans. And this expands into the actual side quests as well, because it's more or less what they are. They're all easily forgettable apart from that beans guy, because it was just such a peculiar request to get some beans. But I digress. The game isn't about silly side quests about beans. No, it's about Noctis becoming a man. So much of the game feels like a vehicle for showing off Noctis, Prompto, Ignis, and Gladio, just sort of hanging out and doing bro things and just broing about like some hot anime boy band. It's great as you run around and watch your young lads and your boys just sort of being really adorable dorks to each other, because this extends to just like combat and driving and running around, as they all just kind of interact and kind of be dumb together, and it's wonderful to watch. While battling, you might perform a sweet Link move, or maybe your friend will pull you out of danger and they'll blast you a quick double thumbs up, or maybe a sweet high five. While driving around and walking, they'll talk about such random nonsense, like Ignis reprimanding Noctis once again for not actually fixing that button on his coat, like he said he was going to way back when in another little conversation. Maybe Noctis will point at a bag of fat chocobo feed and tell Prompto that there's his meal. And Prompto will then get angry and exclaiming how his hair doesn't look like a chocobo's butt. Some of the best moments in this game come from these little interactions they have with one another, and it leads you to getting so attached to these characters so quickly and so rapidly that really you just kind of want to see them through to the end of their weird and bizarre bachelor party. The story is kind of an odd aspect of the game. I really liked it, but at the same time felt like it could have been really fleshed out a lot more. Or could have also used with me not doing 10 hours of side quests of collecting fucking beans between each chapter and forgetting where I am in the story. This just means that the side characters are kind of boring and easily forgettable and kind of actually bland looking. And apart from, well, those on the enemy side who you kind of interact with more bizarrely, and kind of actually more enjoyable because of it. Apart from one who kind of just the game doesn't know what they're doing with it, being Ravis, because, at one moment he's being a massive dick and, just being an asshole to you, even in the film to an even greater extent. But then apparently we're meant to really care for him because he made some big heroic sacrifice off screen and makes no goddamn sense as to what his actions are or why he's doing them. But ultimately, the story is not about all of that nonsense. Primarily, it's about the growth of Noctis into becoming a kingly figure, and the growth of your dude bros into being just bros. The development that happens in your party and among your characters can be so heartbreaking at moments, and leaves with some, like, heartfelt moments that kind of just stick with you. And at the end, man, I was spluttering some ugly tears just because of the journey just finally come to an end. And the struggles, oh my gosh. Fuck combat. I'll quickly blast through that. I liked it. It's bizarre and different to every other Final Fantasy game since, but it really works. It's quite easy to pick up on, and once you start getting the hang of it, you start feeling kind of badass. You start understanding how to do stuff, and you start doing some really hot damage. Leveling is a bit weird in this one, but also doesn't play as large of a role, I feel. As well, there's a dungeon early on an optional dungeon early on at least, in which the general enemies are like level 7, but the final boss is level 52, but you can still completely defeat it through the combat mechanics and blocking and countering, and it kind of felt more like a hard lesson kind of teach you that, more than anything else. Magic is another aspect which is really kind of interesting, as it's not like every other game. It's like consumable items that you can use in craft, and they're incredibly strong and how so customizable, but at the same time they're like a double-edged sword because they're a big AoE, they hurt your characters as well, but they're also very limited in supply, but also incredibly damaging. So it's a very good like give and take in balance and compromise that you have to kind of work with in terms of magic. The summons are amazing and so beautiful and devastating in their animations, and the damage they do left me genuinely like breathless the first time I saw one in use. Like genuinely, they were beautiful. I love the summons in this game. They're incredible. Sadly, one of the few issues I have in the game is the bosses themselves are a bit lackluster and don't have any major impact. Throughout the game, you don't really come across anything notable of an actual boss other than a few side quests here and there, or maybe this mech is slightly harder than the other one, or slightly more scripted boss battles, which is a bit of a letdown because some of the post-game stuff and even the side-game stuff have these giant monsters that would have been so much more interesting to actually fight. Apart from the Adamantoids, which is a big optional boss, which is shit, because it's just a really buggy mess of hitboxes. The game also just looks incredibly strikingly beautiful, and it's quite difficult to talk about it in any timely manner, but generally the designs of outfits are beautiful, and bosses and monsters are designed really well. Oh man, it looks beautiful. It's got a fishing minigame in it. I mean, which is great, because any game with a fishing part of it is almost instantly an A++ for my point of view. And like photorealistic food that always kind of left me stunned that my PlayStation 4 was generating this. Like, I just genuinely really liked the game. It has its flaws. Some of the story parts are really kind of wonky, and side quests are more or less forgettable and just more or less means to an end of gaining experience and AP. But overall, this general journey that you send these small boys on, well, they're like 20-something, but your precious little boys, you send them on this journey and you experience it with them, and it's genuinely like challenging at parts in terms of what you witness. And I bloody well love the game.